Hello, everyone. I'm just going to wait for some of you guys to tune in, enter, say hi. Let's know where you're tuning in from. Happy Friday. Uh, Good morning, Anisha on Instagram. Good morning, Big Brother on Instagram. 7-7. This live is not for the giveaway. The giveaway is at night. Um, It's going to be at 8 p.m. I'll be announcing the day 3 winner. Again, to remind you guys, if you do not live in the United States, you'll be disqualified. You can't enter the raffle. And you have to be an immigrant to win. So if you entered and you are not one of those things, unfortunately, you won't be able to win. Good morning, Mario. Mario. Um, you're connected says your skin is beautiful. Thank you very much. Sandria, good morning. Good morning, Brandon. Happy Friday from New York. Good morning, Andrea Charles. Okay. So let me introduce and good morning. Hi, Adekunle. Happy Friday as well. Let me introduce myself. My name is Aisha Chidole. I'm an immigration attorney. I represent clients in all 50 United States with their family immigration matter. If you'd like to reach me, my phone number is 407-995-6567. You can schedule a consult, or you can also send a WhatsApp. It's 404-333-8751. Okay. I see some of you have started asking questions. I'll get to your questions once I finish. But today I just want to talk about how to prepare for an immigration interview for your green card. And, I can also talk a little bit about citizenship interviews if some of you are dealing with that as well. So, a lot of times, people come to me after they've either received a denial or a notice of intent to deny. And when, I look at some of the notices of intent to deny, it pains me. The reason why those people were denied, because, what it shows me is lack of adequate preparation, which is why they got denied. Obviously, one of the key things is that even if when you submit your petition, let's say you have a marriage-based case, you send all these things showing that you have a bona fide marriage. The time between when you send your petition to the time when you get scheduled for an interview, most times several months have passed by. It's anywhere right now, we're seeing a 12-month timeline before you even get scheduled for an interview. So that time between is also another opportunity for you guys to continue to acquire and accumulate things organically that show that you have a legitimate marriage. So, apart from you guys acquiring those things organically, you also have to be prepared, for matters of the heart and for factual information and testimonies when they call you for an interview. When you are going to a marriage-based interview, I don't care how long you've known your husband. I don't care how long you've known your wife. You need to practice and prepare for questions that you might be asked. Here's the thing, statistically speaking, let me use men for example, and I'm not picking on you guys today, but I'm just going to point out something that we've seen statistically. Statistically, men forget dates. They may forget dates. They may forget, like when they ask you, what's the date of birth of this person? What's the date of this person? What's the date of birth of this person's child? How old is this person? They tend to forget that. So, and I can say that as somebody who's been married for 12 years, and my husband's birthday is in March, right? And my daughter's birthday is going to kill me for saying this. And my daughter's birthday is in March, but he still calls me from the doctor's office. What day is her birthday? Is it March 1st? Is it March 31st? So, and that's somebody that has been married to me for a long time and was there at the birth of his daughter. So what I'm trying to say is that no matter how airtight or how solid you think you are, you need to prepare. I'm going to just go over some critical questions and some critical things that you need to know when you go for interviews. So, the first thing is you need to know your wife's full name. You should know your wife's full name. You should know your husband's full name. You should know your wife's parents' name. You should know your husband's parents' name. If your wife has children, you should know her children's name. If you have children, your wife should know your children's name. If your children go to school, each of you should know where your children go to school. Okay. You should know your street address. You should know the corner streets of wherever you live. You know, if you live on Jane Street, you should know what is the street to the left. You should know what supermarkets are around you. You should know how your wife or your husband proposed to you. Like, this is one of the ones that people goof on so much. And it's very hard when you goof on this for USCIS to accept an excuse or an explanation for this. They consider this as matters of the heart. Matters of the heart means that because most human beings will remember such a festive and a life-changing moment when your spouse proposes to you, they don't expect you to forget. So if one person is saying, oh, you know, my spouse proposed, but they didn't have a ring, and the other person is saying, yeah, my spouse proposed, but they had a ring, that is a problem. That is a problem. So you need to know who proposed to who, and, you know, was a ring provided? Where was the ring purchased? You need to know big gifts. If gifts were given for Christmas, one person can be saying, oh, I didn't get a gift. The other person saying, yeah, I got a gift. You know, you need to know that. And this is why, you know, practice helps you to remember or to recollect or refresh your memory. You need to know how you guys met. Your stories should not be different. I mean, granted, you know, everybody has their own version. You know, like your husband could be like, well, I don't remember it that way. Or your wife can be, I don't remember it that way. But this is not the time. You guys need to remember it exactly as it was, you know, before you go to your interview. You need to know those things. You know, and then, you know, obviously the list is exhaustive going through, you know, what you need to know. Because, you know, like when a client hires me, before your interview, we spend about an hour, hour and a half going through interview preparation. And if you have an attorney that is not doing interview prep for you, that's not good. You should be doing interview prep. But anyway, you know, you need to be prepared. You know, you need to observe your body language. You know, you need to, you know, because, you know, I've been in interviews where officers, they are observing body languages of my client from the time they're inside, when we're walking out, and they will stand there and walk us out and watch us all the way till we go through the door and they close the door. You don't want to give them anything to raise a red flag. You don't want to give them a reason to schedule you for a Stokes interview and say, you know what, I don't know about these people. I'm going to schedule them for a Stokes interview. You don't want that to happen. So you got to watch your body language. You got to know what car you came to the interview with. You know, if you know, you sometimes they can even ask you, well, what did you guys have for breakfast? You know, you got to know whether you ate or not. And if you ate, what did you eat? Yeah. So Swanky, you're saying your husband is bad with dates. Absolutely. So many guys are bad with dates, you know, and there's actually statistically, like God knows, I've had several noids that I've responded to with arguments about showing statistics that show that men have a hard time remembering dates. And I don't know what that's about. But the thing is, help yourself to help yourself. You know, be that way on every other day of the year, but on the day of your interview, you need to study for your interview just like you'll be studying for an exam. You know, if you had the SSAT, if you had to take the MCATs, you had to go to, you know, law school, whatever, you know, you'll be studying. So you should take that seriously, you know, because the worst thing is when you have a legitimate marriage getting denied because you guys couldn't remember, you know, matters of the heart, you know, and things like that. And then, you know, for those of you who have like you know, let's say you got married and, you know, you filed very quickly after you got married and you didn't take a lot of you didn't submit a lot of bona fide proof of your marriage because your marriage was still young. Like you guys maybe you had only been married for like 2 months or like a month. You want to take as much bona fides as you can. And please do not take them on your phone and be like, oh, okay, or whatever it is. Take, print those bona fides, spend the money, go to FedEx, go to Staples, and print them out. If you don't have a printer at home, print out those bank statements. That's your most recent bank statements. If you didn't have a lease when you guys submitted and you have a lease now, print that out. If you didn't have a child and now you have a child, take a photocopy of the birth certificate. If you bring the original and you don't bring a copy, they're going to keep your original. So you always want to bring a copy. If you didn't file taxes when you submitted your petition and then you now file taxes, bring a copy of your taxes. So never go empty-handed, because between when you submit your application to when you're scheduled for your interview, you should have still accumulated or acquired some things that show that you're married to a couple. Bring those extra bona fides with you. You want to bring those extra bona fides with you. So yeah, so those are some of the things that you can do, to prepare for a successful interview. No matter how much you think you know each other, you always want to prepare as though your interview is going to be hostile. If it's not hostile, then great. When people come to me, I always want them to leave that interview saying, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like, we over prepared. But you know what? It's better to over prepare and get your green card than under prepare. So that's that. Obviously there's much more to this, but usually, I'm not going to spend like 2 hours here on the phone prepping any of you for your interviews. You can always, if you're my client, you would know that you'll be prepped for it. But so those are some things that you can do though, to prepare you. Vector says, please make me a winner. Well, Vector, you have to enter the raffle, and the raffle will be drawn at 8 p.m. tonight. Tonight is day 3 of our 10 days of giving. So $100 each night. On the 10th night, we're giving away $500 as a grand prize. Again, you must live in the United States. If we select you as a winner and you don't live in the United States, we will pick another winner. You must be an immigrant of some sort, meaning you immigrated to this United States. And you have a different country that you were from, and you have to share the post, and you have to tag 5 people, and you have to be following us. If you only follow half of the requirements and not the other half, you'll not be entered in the giveaway. Because we're seeing a lot of people that are entering and don't even live in the country or are not immigrants. I thank you so much for the support, but you have to follow the rules. Okay, your connected says, can I live separated from my spouse and still qualify for a green card? We're not happy, but they will still help me with the green card. Well, it really will depend on the reason why you guys are living separately. So it's not a requirement for a marriage-based green card for you to live together, but it is a requirement if you're filing a VAWA case that at some point you and your spouse lived together. So with a marriage-based case, they are looking for marital union. Obviously in a VAWA case, it's different. So if you do not live with your spouse, you have to be able to show why you don't live together, and the reason why you don't live together has to make sense to the officer that is interviewing you. There's so many different examples that it will be difficult to give an example unless you give me your own personal, which you don't need to do that on live, unless I knew your own personal story of why you don't live together. But outside of you guys not living together, you still have to show that even in that distance, you guys are making every effort to eventually live together, to see each other. You're traveling to where the person is, you're traveling to where you are. Now, if you're saying that you guys live separately in the same state, in the same city, that's a problem. So if that's the case, that's a problem. Okay, let's see. Dominique says, hi, attorney. I'm doing VAWA. I have a question. Does USCIS ask for school records? I'm 27 and I studied from 5th to 8th grade. No, they no longer are asking for school records. That's what they used to do when President Trump was in office, where they were doing public charge rules. But even still, that didn't apply to VAWA applicants. That only applied to people that were submitting outside of VAWA. But no, you don't have to show your school records. Killuminati Radio on YouTube says, I'm an immigrant about to be divorced on a 2-year green card. I need to do a waiver and prove it was a bona fide marriage. Can I do it without an attorney? I 100% do not recommend it. You don't have to hire me, but do not do it without an attorney, because when you're doing a waiver, you need to know the legal arguments to get your case approved. So, So Adekunle says, do VAWA petitions go for VAWA interview, and what are the expected questions? So it really depends. Sometimes interviews are bypassed for VAWA petitioners that are filing a true VAWA case. What I mean is that you don't have a green card, and you're submitting a VAWA case. During the interviews for VAWA, they do not ask you about the abuse. The interviews for VAWA are more focused on inadmissibility grounds to make sure that you're admissible into the United States, in that, i.e., you've never claimed to be a U.S. citizen, like you don't have like certain types of criminal records that are considered crime of moral turpitude, entry, permanent bars, and things like that. But it's a much lighter interview process than, say, a marriage base, because they're not going to be asking you questions about the abuse. Now, let's do a switch around and talk about those with conditional green cards, like Killuminati, the person who asked me the question right before you. If you have a conditional green card and you are requesting a waiver based on divorce or based on abuse, there are some times, that you are bypassed. Many of my clients have been bypassed, but that lies in the strength of how robust your application submission is. That being said, if your stuff requires an interview, you better be prepared, because conditional green card interviews, personally, I find them to be the toughest out of any interviews that I do. They're tougher than marriage-based interviews. They're tougher than citizenship interviews. They're tougher than VAWA interviews. Conditional-based green cards, I don't know why. I really don't know why. They're hostile, but like, they want to know your story. They want to know what they abuse. They want to know the details. They want to know why you didn't do this. Why didn't you go to the cops? Why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do that? Because when you have a conditional green card, they hold you to a higher standard than someone who doesn't have one. Because here they're like, well, you have a green card, so you can't say that you didn't have a green card, so why didn't you do this? If this person was doing this to you, why didn't you go here? Why didn't you do that? So it's a little bit more intense when you're dealing with, abuse based on a conditional green card or divorce, and the amounts of bona fides they want to see. So if you have a conditional green card, you should always take your removal of conditions very seriously. And we've also seen, and this happens also, when somehow you're able to bypass an interview, and then they find out that actually you and your spouse were not together, and blah 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 blah, and you go naturalize, and they won't allow you to naturalize because they will now say you shouldn't have actually received removal of your condition. So you really need to come prepared for your conditional green card. If you are doing a waiver, you definitely should get legal counsel. That is my personal opinion. Okay. So Bhavin says, when I get a work permit after I file for VAWA in August, already biometrics done. I don't know. Are you asking me when will you get it? Is that the question you're asking me? I don't know when you'll get it. Right now, ILA is actually, it's the American Immigration Association is actually suing USCIS right now because of the delay in work permits and renewal work permits. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, this year, we've never seen this amount of delay, ever. So it's everybody's feeling the pain of work permits right now. And so there's a lawsuit that has just been brought, and let's see what happens. Hopefully it will make them get it together. I almost feel like the minute they announced that they're doing 2-year work permits, they decided, okay, we're just going to take our time and not approve people, which, I myself find it very annoying and ridiculous, just like you guys and my own clients. So, I really can't tell you when you will, but this is an ongoing issue right now. So Swanky says, on our interview, my husband forgot my aunt's name for a second, and I did with his dad, but we got through. I'm actually waiting for them to remove conditions on my card. They sent it to another state, and it's holding me back because I took my citizenship test and I passed it almost a month now. So I'm in limbo, just waiting. Well, hopefully you do pass it, and yeah, people do forget that. Well, honestly, like, forgetting the aunt's name, like if they give my client an issue for forgetting an aunt's name, that's something that I will fight. That's ridiculous because, an aunt is not an immediate family member unless that aunt raised him, or raised you. Like, I don't think that's fair. Like, that wouldn't be fair. Now, if it was your mom's name, maybe that's a different story. So Andrea says, I had a marriage-based interview 9 months ago, and I was told that my case needs to be reviewed, and it's been like that up until today. Did an online service inquiry, and they wrote back and said they're not ready to make a decision. What do you think I should do? There's nothing you can do right now. You have to wait. They're probably doing some investigation on you, and there's a likelihood they may call you back for a second interview. If if let's say in 12 months time you still don't hear, you call back and you still don't hear, one of the things that you can do is you can try and reach out to the ombudsman, just so that they can do an ombudsman request for you, and see if they can at least get them to make some sort of, if they're sending you a notice of intent to deny, let them send you a notice of intent to deny, just so at least you know what's going on. Okay. Somebody, Big Brother on Instagram says, good morning, please. I filed my vow on October 2020. I did my biometrics in February and I got my prima facie. I got my prima facie since then, and I have not gotten my EAD and advance parole. So Big Brother, without knowing what you submitted in your EAD and advance parole, and if you submit an adjustment of status, I won't be able to give you a response. If you didn't submit the correct category and you didn't submit with an adjustment of status, you won't get it until you've been approved for VAWA. If you did all the things that you're meant to do for you to receive your EAD, it's definitely out of processing time, and this would be a good time to do an inquiry. Unfortunately, if you did it yourself, you're not going to be able to inquire as a VAWA applicant. You need an attorney to inquire for you, and this is due to safety of VAWA applicants. Somebody is asking, how soon should you start filing for kids after marriage? As soon as you want. Let's see. Good morning. How long after you get married should you start doing your paperwork? Again, as soon as you want. Just, if you're doing it very early, after you get married, you just want to make sure that you have a lot of things, bona fides from even predating, in addition to what you have once you get married, and then continue to accumulate stuff. Before your interview, two things could happen. One, they could send you what we call a request for additional evidence. And at that time you can send stuff. So that gives you a few months. Or they could, schedule you for an interview. And during the interview, then you can bring those things. Okay, let's see what else I have here. Swanky is asking, how can I enter the raffle? So if you scroll through my timeline on Facebook or Instagram, there is a post. There's only one post now there that is 10 days of giving. And the instructions are written in there of how you need to enter. Again, if you don't meet any of the requirements, we will be removing you from the raffle. You will not be able to enter the raffle. So please allow the people that meet the requirements to enter the raffle, guys. Okay. So Olaide says, if you have a case with your husband in court for assaulting you, can I determine your vow case, and does prima facie come with a social security? So If your spouse assaulted you, you can submit the police report, the pending court case. If you got a protective order, you can submit those things with your vow application, as proof of some of the things that you're dealing with. And that could certainly help your case. As far as your your social security number does not come with your prima facie determination letter. Your social security number comes right after your work permit. So prior to a couple of months ago, you can request your social security when you're submitting your work permit application. But, I want to say it's 2 months ago, USCIS issued a new I-485 form, which also allows you on that form to also request a social security number. So either way, when you get your work permit, you will get your social security a couple of weeks or a month later. So that's when you get that. All right. How do I know I see like a series of questions on Instagram, just trying to see how to get through them all. Okay. So I filed vows since 2018, and I've been getting my EAD since. What is the timeline for approval of vow cases? 2018, 19. Well, I guess it will all depend on when in 2018 you filed. But that's definitely a long time. Generally, we see an average of about 2 years to 2.5 years. Yeah, whenever I give you guys timelines, I always say there are some outliers, meaning some people that theirs is going to be processed earlier, or theirs is going to be processed later. But depending on when in 2018, being at the tail end of 2021, it's kind of a long time. So yours is one of those where would need to schedule a consult and just evaluate, the particularities of your case to see what's going on, and then maybe follow up with Vermont. Okay, let's see. What other questions do I have? Okay, I had my interview 2 months ago, and it actually went well because the immigration officer said she's going to approve us. It's a marriage-based interview, and it's in Memphis. So what are you telling me? Are you telling me that it was approved, or are you asking me a question? Okay, I see what it is. Okay, I see what it is. You're saying no response at all. So, here's what I'll say. I take with a grain of salt a good interview. Whether an officer is super nice, oh my gosh, the officer was so nice, we're getting approved, blah, blah, blah. No. I didn't know. It means absolutely nothing. And you have to understand that the supervisor still has to approve that. There still have to be certain things that are verified. So you might have a wonderful interview and you think everything's good, but you may not get an approval for like 6 months. You may not get an approval for like 9 months. Or it may go from that to all of a sudden a request for additional evidence or notice of intent to deny. So until you get an actual approval, never take what your immigration officer says, as, gold. Just wait till you get your approval. That being said, there might be very different reasons why. Maybe they're trying to verify something in your record. If you were previously married before, maybe they're trying to verify that you got a proper divorce, and stuff like that. But without knowing you or your case, we can sit down here and try to analyze, all the different things. But, so, okay, let's see what other questions that I have. I'm going to be logging off in like 5 minutes. Okay, so Andrea says, I did the marriage-based interview 12 days ago. Now the officer didn't say anything to us, so I went online to check on the status, and I'm not seeing anything updated on my status. Should I be concerned? Andrea, I wouldn't be concerned about anything. It's only been 12 days, and you're not going to see anything there until an actual approval comes. So it will stay, the status will stay exactly as it is until an actual approval comes. But 12 days is really not a long time. Most offices will tell you before you start worrying yourself or calling and saying, oh, I've not heard a decision on my case, you need to at least give them 30 days. So, after 30 days, you could follow up, but technically if you do try to follow up, the service center will tell you that technically we have 180 days to make a decision. So, and I've seen that, where a client didn't get we didn't get anything. Like there was a poker face, we didn't get anything. And then the approval came like 6 months later or 7 months later. So, it's really sometimes honestly the method to the madness is really mind-boggling. But 12 days is not a long time. So I'd say just I know you're antsy, but just be positive and keep the faith alive. Um So Nikki says, what's the vow interview like? I talked about that about maybe 15 minutes ago. So I'm gonna save this live so you can go and listen to that. Okay. So You're Connected says, when do you do your YouTube lives? So I don't have any set time, which is why you need to subscribe and hit the notification button so you know when I go on live. I generally go on live sometime between 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All of this just depends on my life, that day, what is happening. If I have a meeting, sometimes I have full intentions of going on live, and I might have a meeting that I need to attend to last minute, or something that I need to attend to at my office, something in my own personal life. So it just really depends. But I try to come on most days between 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. But you can hit the subscription button and you can hit the notification button so that you can know when I come on live. Um, Okay. So this question, okay, this is a popular question. So let me just answer this one and then I will be done. Um, what if someone has a removal proceeding pending and the individual got married within this pending period? Can the individual file for adjustment of status with marriage through USCIS? No, you cannot file adjustment of status through USCIS if you're already in removal proceeding. You would have to file that through the immigration judge because once your case and once you get an NTA, which is what we call a notice to appear, and it becomes immigration territory. So EOIR is governing that, which is different from the USCIS. They're two different jurisdictions. So the only thing that you'll be able to file with USCIS is the actual I-130, but only an immigration judge is going to determine whether or not you get a green card or not. But a fair warning to anyone in removal proceedings, if you're in removal proceedings and you get married during removal proceedings, oh, my batteries are about to die. My batteries are about to die, but let me go quickly. If you're in removal proceedings and can you guys on Instagram hear me? If you can hear me, can someone just say yes, they can hear me on Instagram? Because my phone battery is about to die. Okay, so if you're in removal proceedings and you get married while your case is pending, that is automatically so basically you've increased the burden of proof. How do I say it in non-legal terms? So imagine this. If you do a regular marriage case, USCIS has to approve you if there's 50% chance that your marriage is legitimate. So, if based on the preponderance of evidence, I hate to use legal terms, so I'm trying to think of a way to simplify. If there's a 50% chance that your marriage is real, USCIS has to approve you. If you enter removal proceeding and you enter removal proceeding and you then marry, you've now what you've done is increase the standard, which we now call clear and convincing evidence. What that means is that now you have to show by 75% that this marriage is a legitimate marriage and you didn't just enter the marriage because you're in removal proceedings. So that's something that you want to definitely be mindful of. Okay, guys, I have to jump off. I have a very important meeting. But I will be on tonight at 8 a.m. I said 8 a.m., 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will only be on just to answer to announce the winner of the day $300 giveaway. I won't be talking about anything related to immigration, but if you want to join my immigration lives, where I talk about immigration and I answer your questions, I will be on Monday between 8:30 a.m. to 10 a.m., which is why I said, put your subscription or notification so you can know when I come on live. I'm not sure what time I'll come on, but I'll be on. All right, guys, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you guys this evening.